Please applause to Ivan. Sound check. So today you have already heard where MODX tree will exist or not. According to the plan, it will exist, and I will tell you the same topic, how in principle we can contribute to MODX development. I will have slides in English, yet I will tell you about it in Russian. So I've been working with MODX for 10 years now. And I started as a developer in the studio, and we started making websites on MODX, and then I was developing and improving and coming from company to company, and was always working with MODX and accumulating experience. I don't make any websites now, but I work for MODX. And I am part of the Core team. I'm a MODX integrator, so you can write to me if you have some kind of improvements, if you want to accelerate them and you want to get them in release. I can speed up this process and help you with that. And I also help to develop MODX in every possible way. I don't just write codes, but also make translations and partake in different discussions in every possible way. And let's talk about MODX itself. What is MODX? MODX, and this is open source project, and very often people confuse open source with free. But this is not the case. Open source is more like common knowledge. People contribute their efforts, knowledge. Everyone contributes its own minor part, and eventually we get very good final product, which is not always free of charge, or not participants can use it free of charge. Yes, MODX can be downloaded free of charge. You don't have to pay for it. But the idea of our MODX itself is like an open source product, is in knowledge. And I also have a similar question. Following this logic, MODX 3, when? To be honest with you, this question is annoying not only to Jason. I will give a brief answer. MODX 3 will be whenever you want it to be. Actually, it's a more complex or complicated question. We will now find out how this can be accelerated and what can be accomplished. People's expectations can be understood, because 3 years ago there were first announcements of the third version, and there were articles published that MODX 3 will be in place, and people keep wondering when will it happen, who will write it, and my question is, who will write it? And in this regard, we have a problem, because currently in MODX community, there are not enough people who could help to develop MODX and could help also develop it. And we are short of people who could write codes or who could check or test some already written codes at the moment to say whether it's working or not. And currently, this is a big problem of MODX, because we currently have the number of active MODX Revolution developers can be counted using fingers of both hands. Those developers, they get no payment for their work during their free time. They write something, check, test something, and they are incapable, this small team, they are incapable to issue a fully fledged final product, version 3, 4, 5, or whatever. You can complain as long as you want to, but this is impossible due to objective reasons. So, what's the solution? The solution is quite simple. Because to issue MODX 3, each participant of the community should place his or her efforts to contribute even small efforts of one person, it's not too difficult to spend 10-15 minutes a day to probably align 2 or 3 bugs or errors, or to write 2 or 3 codes. And if you are not a programmer, to probably rectify something on the website or whatever. But if each person do some improvements, there are lots of people, and if lots of us do small improvements, we will have an ocean of improvements, and eventually everyone will win in this situation. People make the improvements, and I also make my improvements, and we all benefit from that. So now let's talk about who and how can take part in the MODX development. Let's start with non-developers. Evidently not people are programmers. Not everybody knows how to write a code. So it depends on the capabilities of each and every person, but still there are lots of possibilities to contribute, because writing a code is just one minor point in writing a product. And if a person who is not a programmer will do this work, which sometimes is a routine job like writing documents or doing something else, he will obviously shift some workload from programmers who are currently doing the same work and could, during this time frame, write codes and improve for the product. So talking about documentation, it is in place at present. Official documentation in English on the site docs.modx.com, and it can be corrected or changed. And by the way, no specific knowledge is required to improve it. It's just enough to write to email of MODX.com technical support, and if you have found a mistake or you want to add something and describe something, you will be given an access to a regular website, and like in wiki mode, you will be able to describe some things in like human language. Why it's good to provide documentation? You don't really need to document everything that is in place now. We can document the things that have been implemented but described poorly, but we also can provide documentation for future versions, let's say the versions of what does not exist yet, but we already can provide documentation the way it should look like, how it should work, so that later on programmers or developers could check and say, well, it should work in this way. And he or she should look at what has been written and do based on that. This is about official documentation, and here's an example of the website, and accordingly its email, its address. There's another website with documentation, MODXpo. On this website, to write documents for this website, you need to get a bit higher level of knowledge, because documents are written with the use of GitHub server. But still, for people who don't know what GitHub is, and let's say don't know what is a console and how to work on this website, still there are enough applications enabling to work with this GitHub using different windows, so no problem whatsoever. A specific feature of this documentation is that it's in place both in Russian and in English, so you can write in both languages or whatever you want. And an interesting feature of this website with documentation is that for all applications that are uploaded in shop of application mods store, documentation is mandatory. You cannot upload your update without this documentation. So this contributes to the promotion of MODX community, because it requires writing documentation before you upload some kind of add-on, so that people could know how to operate it. Additionally, in addition to documentation, where else can you help? The biggest problem at the moment is that on GitHub, in repository revolution, in issues directory, there are lots of them, still a lot. Some time ago, it was like unbelievable number but at the moment, due to MODX accounts and active efforts of some users, the activity is decreasing, something is checked, changed, something is removed, and being a non-developer, you can also assist here. You can just look through the list of these problems.
So you can look through the list of these problems, and then you can help and discuss it in the comments whether you need this correction or improvement or not, and how to implement it in the best way. So all just to say, to explain it, that this correction modification is an old one. It's been created 5 years ago, and you have to close it because now there are more than 500 ones, and a person visiting it looking through the history of the project and looks at 500 bugs that were in the history. They don't know how to program, and I never use it again. I don't want to use it. So that's why we have to reduce the number of these errors, number of these issues. And for a developer, it's also good. He visits, he sees a new bug, and he corrects it. And now he enters it and sees the list of 500 errors, and the new one is in the end of the list, is the most important one, but he never gets to it because it's in the end. And Optimus Crime, known in community, so Thomas here made a post and presented this kind of graph, which represents the quantity of errors, issues, not only issues, but pull requests, bugs, and code that was added, and how with time this number was reduced. These two lines, two backhands that this year, and they that were held this year, and they substantially reduced these numbers. These events were very successful, and we're really thankful to Sturk for organization and for the idea. In order to, of course, we not only have to reduce the number of bugs, and the product is live, and some bugs can appear again. So you release a new version, you improve something, but you also maybe spoil something. So in order to help the developers, you can also write in the repository a report about these bugs. You have to inform developers about that, not just to hide it, because the person enters, he sees something doesn't work, he is disappointed and just leaves. But he would better instead write to the developers, this function doesn't work, please improve. For this purpose, at GitHub, we have created special templates so that it would be easier to fill in this report on bug.
написать, а уже просто заданы конкретные вопросы.
So you don't have to write something on your own. You just fill in the form about the bug. You just write what has happened, what were the conditions, what you need to improve. It's not a demand, but it's kind of a polite request, because if you write it according to a template, the way that you are asked, then it would be easier for a developer to understand what is your problem and to find the solution. And that's why when you write it, please use templates. If you don't know English, you can write it in Russian. It's better to write it in Russian rather than not to write about it at all. So what else you can do, not being a programmer? It's translations. Translations is not the worst issue in MODX currently, but anyway, not everyone knows English, and websites on MODX are created for customers who also might not know English. For example, a guy from Bulgaria wants to make his web store, and he knows English not very well. Of course, for him it would be better to have it in Bulgarian language, his website, or some other language. And that's why all the translations of MODX are accumulated in one place, crowd-in service. So currently this is the statistics on non-translated languages into which it was not translated. This is the work for the future for translators, and this is the statistics. So German and Swedish we have complete translation, into Russian also complete, but the only thing we need is approval, proofreading, yes, of translations. When somebody just verifies whether the translation was correct, because people make mistakes and it's not very good to see then the button in the interface which is named in a different way and people don't understand what is it. For translators, the service is done in a very convenient way. All the rows, all the lines of a file of like English text are on the left. Then there is the text itself, which you need to translate here in English. Here you write the translation, and along with that, this crowd-in system, it can support automatic translations. For example, if this translation has already been translated once before, then it takes it from the database and puts it here. You don't have to translate it anew. For example, during this action or during attempting to make this or that, this bug was detected. So the whole sentence, like when doing this, the bug was detected. You only change the only one word, name of the bug, for example. Yes, so that's why translation doesn't take a lot of time. So within 2 weeks before the conference, so the Belarusian language translation, I increased during 2 weeks. I increased the amount translated in Belarusian from 25% to 46%. So just drinking coffee or having 20 minutes in the evening, not really dedicating a lot of time to that, but you see, like I done almost half of the job. So how a developer can participate in MODX development? What are the main rules? There is MODX code, which is stored in GitHub, and all the work is being done there. So the main page of the project. So in order to start working on MODX as a programmer, we have found a problem and we want to correct it. We enter the main page in GitHub, then we make fork. Fork is being done. So you see this button. After you press this button, you get this window. And I have many organizations here, but if you don't have fork yet, so you get this window, and there you select the organization or a user for whom you want to make this fork, and you've got your own copy of code in the MODX system. After that, at your own PC, in order to develop, you need to know Git or something else. Then you have to do synchronization of the main repository of MODX and your repository. So the code will be written in your repository, but some modifications have to be taken from the main one. For example, this is the configuration with remote. I normally use origin. So extreme, and this is the main repository. So we take something from extreme using Git and send to our repository, and then we make pull requests from ours. So as far as the branches are concerned, so what are the rules of the branches? So currently we have 3 active branches. Recently we had 258 release, where we added a lot of different corrections, and currently this branch is closed. It's still active because maybe some bug removal actions will be done, but because if there are some mistakes or bugs affecting security, we have to make 259 for those who use it with these bugs corrected. But also we have a version 2.6 already, and also we had a branch 2x where we've sent code which had to appear in the next major release. If we have 2.5, we want to release 2.6, then we make code in 2x, and from 2x we make release of 2.6. That's how it was with 2.6. And also we already have 2.6.1, and the active branch for 2.6 is 2.6x. So same branches 2.5x. So here we will receive all the bugs corrections that were detected. So currently we have 2.6.1 release with bugs corrected. So currently we have only one main branch with this 3x. You understand that now currently we are working on the new MODX 3, and this is as far as the branches are concerned. And as far as the usage of these branches, operation of the branches is concerned, we send code to the corresponding branch. Then we have so-called milestones. These are planned versions. 2.6 it's already released. 2.6.1 is released. So there is only one bug or two. Then we have alpha and 2.7, which will be together with this alpha version, released together with alpha. And there will be some maybe improvements, some small differences. But why do we need these milestones? Because we can monitor the current plan. All issues, all pull requests are associated with these milestones. And we can see that in version 3, we can see the percentage of completion of this version, and we can see how much is open, how many tasks or bugs are open, and how many closed. In this way, we can monitor the progress and look, see what we have to do next. Somebody wants to remove the bugs, somebody wants to add something, and communication on development is being done with luck. As Mr. Gauger mentioned, you can enter MODX.org and enter a chat where you can discuss these issues. Also, as far as development is concerned, if you work on several versions at once, so it's very good if you have different branches in different folders, because if you worked on version 2.6, then you have to work on 3x version. The code can be really different, and you have to collect all the crypts styles for backend, and it can result in creation of artifacts and some objects. So you have to work in a separate folder on this version. It's a recommendation. Based on my personal experience, it's easier. And also I have to separately mention that there is documentation on working with the repository. If you follow these links, you can find the guide how to use Git and GitHub and MODX bug hunt, and also a very good guide which was written for MODX bug hunt, where there is detailed description how you can work with issues, pull requests, and it's told in detail about that, so it's very reasonable to read it as well, and to understand in order to understand how to write code for MODX.
И у нас
Also, we have, along with the developer, we have another role, integrator role, and it's difficult to translate it into Russian, but in any community, including developers community, there are some rules that you have to observe. You can't just give access to anyone to a repository so that they do whatever they want. Currently, in a repository, any person. So a person from the street can't mesh into the code to remove some issues. For example, I don't like it, I remove. I can remove something that I created as an author. I can't create something other people create. But at the same time, there should be some opportunity to close some issues, old issues, outdated issues. And there is a team like me who monitor the access to a repository on orderly basis. We have a right to close issues. If somebody writes to us that this issue is outdated, we agree, we check it, and we close it. Also, we have a right to approve all code changes. First, we verify that the code changed doesn't break anything. Of course, it doesn't happen every time, but sometimes people merge something that can break the code. But of course, it's some problems of testing. But anyway, we can have the right to verify merging something. And then also we have to follow all these rules. So we have a very strict procedure, how we do it, in which order. If we want to merge something, also, if we want to match something ourselves, we inform in a special chat about that so that we don't interfere with anyone else's activity. So in order to get part of this team, there are strict requirements, but we need these people, these developers who would, and I think there are some responsible people who can really help to work with the repository, and sometimes it's not even people who are programmers.
Because to close issues can be, any person can do that, and to take care of the order, anyone can do that. As regards requests, some more knowledge is required for that, but you can transfer that to the colleague. And it's important that we need people who will check those requests. You can install some changes and to verify that they are working. And if you don't have any rights for this work, you can write to us that I have checked, verified, and everything works perfectly. If you have been for a long time in the community and you have some credit with, some people will work by default, because we do know that such people have accomplished diligent work and verified that we don't need to check after them. This change of the code, everything works fine. And if someone wants to join the team of integrators, please let us know. This can be discussed, and we will make a decision, and we will invite you to us. Therefore, we have not maybe an hierarchy, but summing up what I have just said, how can people partake in the development of MODX in our system? We have a role of documents, like documenter, a person who will write documents. I'm not saying that this is some kind of hierarchy, but like with accumulation of certain background expertise of working with programs or software and experience in programming. Also, we have our issue fighter, or the one who will fight with still a big number of bugs or errors in repository, and the one who will write those bugs or errors. If you have found them, you can describe them. Also, a translator. Why this person is not at the documenter level. A translator is a person who is supposed to more or less know the entire system, because coding, there's no possibility to see where this line is in the interface. Therefore, a translator needs to have some experience in working with MODX so that he knows where the lines appear, and in that case he can check how they are depicted there to see any bug or error, how it was translated, and how it looks natural and not just in the form of a line. So probably some more experience is required. And obviously, a developer, the one who will write a code, knowledge of not just the system is required, but how it works. Then integrator, it's also like a developer, but he has more rights and in principle probably a broader scope of knowledge because he needs how to check any part of the code and its changing or modification in any place, how to check it and what can it influence. Like more knowledge is required on the highest level, unattainable. JSON, it's like the very last level of development. And let's say the main question, when we still see MODX 3, when we will see it, I hope that after what I have said, you have a clear picture when it will happen. This depends on you, when it will happen. If you take part in the development and make contribution to MODX, then there will be MODX 3, 4, and whatever you want. The key point is not just to rest on laurels. You need to be active. Here you see a couple of links to my websites, what I also deal with, and please ask your questions, if any.
Я уже вижу первого желающего.
I see the first person willing to ask a question, please. Here you go. Good afternoon. I would like to find out, you mentioned that your team is composed of some developers, and you mentioned the word we all the time. Can we have a look somewhere? Who are we? Who is responsible for which branch, and who is responsible for bugs or errors? And where's the list of names and contacts and so on? Hardly a list with contact information, hardly published somewhere, but we have few people at the moment, and we don't have a specific list. And with this division of responsibilities, like this one is dealing with this, this with that. Now everybody deals with everything. We don't have even 10 people, so everybody takes care of everything, and there's no specific list. When we have more people, I got it. I just wanted to see who is in charge of what, like this person is in charge of the branch, and then the bugs and so on. Jason Cord is currently the most important person. He is responsible for critical errors in safety and issue of release. And we also have Jan Peka, who from the Czech Republic, who is responsible for the front end. Speaking about active developers, Mark Hamstra is known to everybody. He's very active in both cases. He is involved in MODX development. I also, whenever possible, take part, and Optimus Crime Thomas from Norway has been also actively connected, and he deals with update of or closing the obsolete versions. And the backbone of the core team, which is responsible for MODX 3, for the nucleus, for the core, Jason, me, Optimus, Crime, and sometimes Mark. He has some personal problems, and he hasn't been actively involved for the last 8 weeks, but hopefully he will sort out his situation and will go back to our team. But currently we have basically 4 main persons, but this is not enough. We need more people. I see another question. Please, anyway, 3.0 will be issued in parallel, or it will be like when 2.8 is finished and then we switch over to 3.0. Currently, yes, 3.0 is planned without any drastic changes or modifications. The idea to preserve reciprocal compatibility and to issue 3.0 with all dependencies and so on, and to proceed from that version. Now all efforts are placed to issuance in the coming 3 months. This is based on Jason's words. This is our task that he assigned to himself and to us, is to issue 3.0, like basic beta version, and to proceed from that. Most likely, the branch 2 will not exist any longer. Possibly there will be just some safety security updates, but the plans are as such. So after beta issuance, 2.8 version is finished. Correct.
Благодарю. Еще желаю.
Thank you. Any further questions? Есть какая-то стратегия для дополнений к 3.0? Не знаю подробностей. Ну да, Джейсон принял решение сделать релизы почаще MODX, поэтому 3.0 мы планируем в ближайшие 3 месяца выпустить. Во всяком случае, у него такие планы. А что касается дорожной карты, сейчас основная проблема — полная поддержка разработчиков, установка MODX и всех зависимостей третьих лиц, Amazon Services, Smart Library, библиотека для обработки снимков, внешней библиотеки, использование разработчиков для поддержания MODX, чтобы было ключевые только функции MODX. То есть это ближайшая цель на ближайшие 3 месяца. Спасибо. Any further questions? I'll ask people from the rear. Thank you. Are there any ideas or plans to refuse from XGS or replacement? There are some plans, but not in version 3, but rather in version 4. Currently, we cannot just refuse from that because there's no possibility to change something in the core, because we need to rewrite backend first to use REST, and after that we will have a chance to write backend for REST or other resources, whatever. Now it is not worthwhile to do that because before we have this in backend. Otherwise, we will start writing a new backend, and then for REST, and then new backend, and there will be no new JS under the different name. So it's not appropriate. We need to take care of the core first, and then to deal with the backend. Any further questions? Hugo, Vitaly in Modstar. Ivan, I understand from backs and viewpoint from usability will not be changed. We talk about core change drastically, but for the client, for the customer, it won't be more practical or useful for the client or customer. Drastically, no, it will be still XGS. Nothing will drastic or significant will be done for that, but it has both advantages and disadvantages, because all the extensions that have been written with hard labor for the last decade, they will still be working, and it will be not useful to throw out all those extensions, due to which this is a very good and powerful system. The core itself is small and doesn't, it can't do much, but due to these extensions, there are big stores and portals and whatever, you name it. So my point is that if assistance is required in the research of the user experience experience in improvement of interface in some front end, we could probably also work, but I understand it will be versions 4, 5, 6. Yes, it will be version 4, but actually there is a team that has already started. I'm not sure about their progress, but the team to work for those improvements, there is a team, and one can join it. And probably to accelerate this work, probably propose some solutions and actively participate. Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Yes, of course, discounts. How can we do without that? Just a small question. Your opinion with regard to update of the driver, if, for instance, it works very good, some kind of project on 257, whether I should update it to 258, 259, or should I wait for the higher level version? How can this affect the stability of the website? Currently, MODX, in principle, in terms of its versions, is used for 7. We have for methodology 2 or 3 versions, the main versions, which envisage a possibility probably, even if there's a lack of reciprocal compatibility with these versions. Version 3 will try to maintain this compatibility, but modification of this version envisages that something will be incompatible and we will not be able to have an easy update. But the second digit in the version envisions that we have added new capabilities, like something new is added to the system which improves its usability, how these new functions are added. And the third digit are typically corrections of all bugs, and to update from 257 to 258 or 259. This is safe and it should be done, because in those versions bugs are corrected that have been there in previous versions, but there are no critical changes. In the course of the last 2 years, maybe that was the situation. But with the issuance of 2.6, the list of changes or modifications was quite substantial, and not too many modifications visually, because MODX is like a mature product by itself, and something new, it's difficult to add something new to it, to change something drastically. But nonetheless, there were some bugs, some errors, and 2.6.1 version was changes has been issued. So same as you did it with previous version, and here with MODX the same our situation. To update for the second digit, it's not worthwhile, even something like a home website, but for your main websites, it's better to wait for 261, 262, but the third digit you can safely update it, and this is recommended because bugs or errors are corrected. Thank you for your question. Any further questions from the audience? Another question. В начале графики видел, в начале презентации. И всегда это связано с деньгами. Если нужны деньги, если какие-то планы, там, создание фондов, привлечение денег, какие-то инициативы, получение, может, денег из сообщества, потому что я понимаю, что чудеса 1 или 2 раза в неделю у вас только получается, но не всегда. Но когда нужны деньги, это какие-то личные ресурсы, или как люди действительно, может, вкладывают большие деньги во весь проект, и может быть, это как не как их основная работа, а в свободное время, то есть они как бы отрывают время от семьи, но они где-то сидят, может быть, в баре едят пиццу, пьют пиво и занимаются хакерством. Это замечательно. Но я думаю, что требуется больше ресурсов, что и получить для этого финансирование. Я бы хотела спросить, вот как мы можем решить эту проблему? Поверьте мне на слово, 2% своего дохода за весь год я трачу на это. Я много времени трачу на то, что исправлять вещи, которые стоят денег, но это и для меня лучше. Есть ли какие-то идеи, как улучшить эту работу? Доступность. Программа вот эта была 2 года назад. После этого я об этом не слышал. Что вы делаете в этом направлении? Ну, не помню, обсуждалось ли это в прошлый раз. Но есть 2 примера. 2 админки, можно сказать. Потому что эти мероприятия хорошо были организованы с выигравшими, с победителями. Конечно, люди пытались устранить недостатки, баги, пытались исправить ошибки, чтобы получить призы, выигрыш. И именно это явилось причиной того, что люди этим занимались. Это всего лишь один пример. Есть второй пример. Может быть, мы можем использовать программу, может быть, создать какой-то фонд, когда люди, у которых есть деньги, которые хотят их инвестировать в этот фонд, они могут прийти, вложить свои деньги. Мы можем организовать соревнования, конкурс, допустим, как Bounty Program. Ну, допустим, что Bounty Amount, скажем, 1000 евро на такой-то участок работы. И, может быть, люди, не один человек, а команда проведут эту работу, и по ее окончании получат эти деньги. Ну, это просто пример того, как это можно реализовать. Но я бы предложил обсудить это, различные способы реализации этой задачи. Это не обсуждалось, но мы открыты к дискуссии по этому вопросу. А есть разработчики, которые работают полный день именно над модексом, которые работают? Сколько их? Насколько я знаю, Джейсон и Ян. Джейсон и ты? Нет, Ян Пеков. Джейсон и Ян Пека. Да, замечательные сотрудники. Но я думаю, что очень много, как бы это назвать, ответственность, только для них очень большая ответственность. Будет или еще третий. Это помогло бы, как вы считаете, или будет как бы война между различными философиями, программами и все такое? Я думаю, если третий был бы, я думаю, мы могли бы это решить. Ну да, но сейчас основная проблема, что люди из модекса, они очень заняты, и так как их заняты обычной работой, им нужно поддерживать яблоко модекс своих клиентов. Да, я все это знаю, я не хочу сейчас про это спрашивать. Им надо вести бизнес, у них должен быть спонсор или какой-то финансист. Все это понимаю. Но если все будет развиваться очень уж медленно и команде будет очень уж сложно, тогда нужно найти какое-то решение. А решение, с моей точки зрения, всегда упирается в деньги. Это не может быть только сообщество. Я понимаю, да, недостаточно людей. Optimus Crimes мне сказали вчера, что не хватает людей. Но деньги работают. Именно так бизнес и развивается. Да, конечно. MODX LC мы не можем игнорировать, но мы можем в то же время, как я уже сказал, мы можем приглашать людей в сообщество и приглашать их работать над проектом и предлагать им деньги, ну, не как в качестве постоянной заработной платы, а в качестве программы Bounty. Но это мое мнение. Я не знаю, как лучшим способом это реализовать, но это возможно. Усовершенствование, улучшение комьюнити сообщества — это важно. Но сейчас не об этом. Я плохой человек, потому что Я раньше больше работал, был очень эффективным, сейчас я работаю меньше, может быть, менее эффективно, но я хочу принести пользу сообществу. Но вот иногда нужно, чтобы сотрудники имели рабочую обстановку, могли сконцентрироваться. MODX — это великолепная вещь, но мне не надо там 3.0 и так далее. Мне не надо все эти баги. Мне нужно, чтобы простые баги были устранены простые небольшие ошибки. То есть все, что новое, что-то новое, прорывное, нужно, чтобы было больше солдат, которых можно отправить на войну. Не знаю, будет ли это работать в таком формате долго. Если человек переходит дорогу, его сбивает машина, он умирает, то, извините, такое бывает. Вы же понимаете, что только 2 человека, и у них все эти знания, надо что-то с этим делать. Все наше будущее, наши семьи, наши жизни, все зависит от программного обеспечения, и нам надо улучшать эту ситуацию, я считаю. Может быть, какое-то доверие должно быть с точки зрения взаимодействия, хороших взаимоотношений, не только разработка продукта, финансирование со стороны сообщества, но что-то еще нужно сделать, с моей точки зрения. Я надеюсь, мы сможем найти решение. А сейчас это такая счастливая семья, которая иногда бывает нефункциональной. Я, конечно, люблю семью, но должно быть больше руководящей роли, больше коммуникации. И так эти вещи надо развивать. Да, я согласен и предложить наш диалог после моего выступления уже. Okay, just a second.
Спасибо. Вы очень интересно сделали презентацию. И я могу сказать, что NLB... Я полностью согласен, что это проблема, в первую очередь, денежная, финансовая, и также проблема времени. То есть за деньги вы можете купить время, то есть это решаемо. И как уже было сказано, то есть деньги... То есть также позволяют устранить некоторые ошибки, и деньги также позволяют создать новые функции, новый функционал, и также в некоторых релизах в MODX 3 там тоже требуются какие-то ресурсы. То есть мы с MODX обсуждали с агентствами о том, какие нам нужны средства, какое нам нужно время, и мы искали какие-то пути решения получить большего финансирования. Но что касается проекта по доступу, там были тоже очень такие идеи, то есть на GitHub вы можете найти результаты нашей работы, то есть этот проект уже закончен, но он может быть интегрирован с текущим, то есть пока невозможно интегрировать его в текущую систему, в текущий проект, и я об этом много обсуждал пока и с людьми из LC. Мы предлагали свою помощь интегрировать в MODX это с повышением восприятия пользователями. Впечатление пользователей от взаимодействия. То есть повышение доступа, это повышает удовлетворенность взаимодействия пользователей и так далее. То есть, конечно, это все стоит дорого, но я думаю, что по сравнению с тем, какой результат и объем работы делается, это вполне разумно, и интеграция требует очень большого количества работы. То есть давайте посмотрим, что у нас получится, посмотрим на результаты, и я сейчас... То есть я могу посмотреть на репозитории сейчас и показать вам, конечно, но мы сейчас не будем этого делать. И это отличная возможность вот сейчас у вас здесь обсудить все эти моменты, обсудить, как решается проблема времени и денег, и как это правильно распределять, оптимизировать, чтобы действительно проект двигался вперед. Я думаю, что То есть вы делаете очень действительно большую работу как интегратор, как организатор всего этого. И я думаю, что Я думаю, что у вас вряд ли мы можем спросить, как нам получить деньги и финансирование, то, что нам необходимо делать. Но то есть все комментарии, которые вы сделали, они были очень интересными. Да, спасибо.
Спасибо за вопросы. Ну, мы следуем регламенту, поэтому, я думаю, с вопросами будем закругляться. Еще раз огромное спасибо.